want to share it with other UNCG students and maybe even beyond UNCG, because I think it's the same safety rules and everything, right?
I mean, I would say so. Yeah, so again, for benefit of the recording, I'm Heidi Bretz. I'm one of the assistant directors here in the International Program Center for Study Abroad and Exchange. So I am just going to talk a little bit about health and safety. All of you have traveled internationally before, so it's going to be pretty much a review, but also some specific things we're going to go over are going to be the insurance that you're enrolled in during the program, how to use that and what that covers, and then just some general health and safety information. So I know 2 of you have been before to the Agriculture Conference, so I hope the rest of you have just as wonderful time. But everyone has their passports, so that's a good thing, and it has at least 6 months validity. Okay, awesome. So all of you have booked your plane tickets so far as well? Okay, great. So in terms of things to keep in mind, so I know you all have traveled internationally before, you know how to pack a suitcase, but it never hurts to be reminded that less is usually more, especially if you get stuck in an airport where you have to carry your bag up an escalator, or you're trying to take public transit, or even trying to get into an Uber. Having a bag you can carry is going to be really, really important. Things to keep with you in your personal item that are really important are any prescription medications. So I know it's tempting just to put it in your carry-on and forget about it, but I know sometimes on those short flights, especially if you have a connection between here and Canada, you may find that they want to check your bag plane side. And I know the last time my boyfriend and I traveled, like his bag got lost, his carry-on bag that he had with him all the way to the gate, and then it didn't show up where he did. So it's not a bad idea to keep anything you absolutely need, and would hate to go more than like 12 hours without in your personal items. That would be prescription medications, travel documents, passport, insurance card, things like that, cell phone, some cash, you know, just anything you would absolutely need. It's always a good idea to have in your carry-on just a extra change of clothes, some toiletries, things like that. Again, in case you bring a carry-on and a check bag, and your check bag doesn't end up where you do. Make sure you know kind of the rules about liquids and all that. I know they're getting more interested in food these days, so if you do bring like snacks with you, they'll probably make you take them out at the security check. So good things to keep in mind. In terms of other things, you will be going to Canada, so it's not that different from the US, but you may want to double check any voltage issues, see if they have the same electricity grid. If not, then you're going to want to check into converters and adapters, but you should be pretty all set there.
Yeah, for these guys, not an issue. Europeans, if you're watching this, I just came from Europe. I had like 8 of those adapters with me, and all of 8 were like, there were many people who didn't bring any, so I was a very popular guy. So, and they're like only $1, like literally,
right?
Because all the voltage is fine, but the adapter doesn't.
Yeah, and if you're real smart, when you or if you want to make lots and lots of friends, you can actually bring a power strip and then an adapter, and then everyone can just plug their stuff into yours, which is pretty great. So with that, make sure you have your cell phone charger. Go ahead and check with your cell phone company to see if they offer coverage in Canada, and if so, what that costs. Sometimes it may be more expensive for some carriers than others. I know for me, usually I rely on Wi-Fi and then take a old-fashioned calling card with me just in case there's an emergency, I need to make a phone call. That's one thing that I'd recommend, is never being somewhere where you can't get in touch with anyone, like can't make a phone call or anything, just in case, I don't know, it's 2 a.m. and you're lost and you need to make a phone call, something like that.
On that, I have a bunch of very practical advice, like literally write it down. One, for sure, download maps of Canada. So you go to Google, you click on the settings, select a square, and download wherever you want to go. Chances are your phones will not work overseas unless you have one of the major carriers, like T-Mobile gives it by default. Everybody else, I don't think they do. So if you have at least preloaded maps, it will be about 1 gigabyte per country. So at least you will not get live traffic information, but you will still be able to navigate. One thing that I noticed when you download Google, it downloads driving, but not walking and biking. So not a huge deal, but in Copenhagen, where most of the stuff was done by bike, I was, getting the driving directions, which are not always the same. So second, get a battery pack. highly recommend it. You will run out of, like I have 4,000 whatever mega, like normally my day ends with 70% on. When you travel, I barely had a whole day. So battery pack, like get a good one for $30, will serve you for many years. You want to have that for sure. Third, your phones in the United States, all of them now have Wi-Fi enabled calling. But for some providers, you have to call the provider, and for some, you have to go online for that. You know what Wi-Fi calling is, right? So when you enable that thing, even if your phone doesn't work in Canada or any other country, at least you go to the nearest McDonald's and you can make 4 phone calls as if you're in the United States. Again, more likely than not for Canada, it will be okay, but again, you might want to have that. Plus, if the cell phone signal is weak, at least you can have Wi-Fi to use that. One thing that I would recommend, again, talking about airport, again, just came from a trip literally a few hours ago. We had 2 professors whose luggage was lost, and then it took several days to get it, and then there were delayed flights and stuff like that. So 2 tricks that I do with that. One, carry on only. So if it's not enough, get a big backpack and call it a computer bag. But once you start checking in, that's when the bad things may happen. And second, so I had a delayed flight. And when I travel, I always have, in the airport, I always have basically dressed as a businessman, not as a traveler. And I noticed people who have shorts and t-shirts, that find it, the personnel dismisses them, like, who cares about you? And when I have a short, all of a sudden they talk differently to me. So I, even though it's less comfortable, but it's kind of important, like at the very least have a polo shirt, not a t-shirt. Not any less comfortable, but you project an image that you're more important. And so when the flight gets canceled, as it was my case, and they started putting those 400 people on out of flight, somehow I was getting much better treatment than everybody else. So a little trick, but can save you some, hassle. So yeah, other than that, I guess that's.
Yeah. And with that, I don't know, so I know y'all have purchased your tickets already. Flight insurance isn't a bad thing to have, some sort of travel insurance, because the insurance that you're covered with under GeoBlue, which is the insurance that I've already enrolled you with, you should have all gotten an email. It might have gone to your spam if you haven't seen it yet. And so that is just for your body and your medical health and physical, mental health. It's not for your stuff. So if you want to get any insurance on lost baggage, flight, things like that, I encourage you to look at that yourself. The International Student Identification Card, ISIC, is a card that offers some level of travel and trip insurance, and that is available online through STA Travel for $25. That just ends up being kind of a good thing for the insurance portion, and also for a lot of cases, if you have your insurance card or that ISIC card, you can actually get discounts at some international locations. So if you're going to be traveling after your program, can get you access to discounts at museums, restaurants, things like that. It's just a good thing to have. It's better to have that than, it's good to take your UNCG ID with you, but having that gives you an end date for your student experience, which I think a lot of other countries require for you to be able to get student discounts and things like that. Yeah. Something worth looking into.
50% on all museums, 50% off on all museums in Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. As we traveled, my brother had this student card, like regular, not a special one. And every time we go to the museum, we're able to get 50% off.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you use it once or twice, you've already made your money back. So that's something good to look into. And then, what was I going to say about it? Flights.
Hey guys, it's Karen. Can I just interrupt real quick?
Yes.
Sorry, Amy Van is trying to connect. She sent me an email and she's trying to access that webinar.
I see we have several people asking. Yeah,
if you could send her a new link, that would be great.
Yeah, so it looks like the settings were, and by the way, I didn't set up this meeting, somebody else did. I will not point fingers. But
it was me.
But apparently it was set up in a way that we have to admit the attendees. So Amy, Courtney, and Doug. So sorry
Doug
to
is rocking in our chair.
Yeah.
It must be some default, like a checkbox that you usually uncheck or something.
Yeah, I can't remember which one is the default, but yes. So yeah. So, but yes, you guys didn't miss much. I know Amy probably traveled a lot and probably knew most of that, but yeah. Just be safe, get a power bank, get a student card, try to stay with carry-on, download Google Maps so you have them in case your phone doesn't work, enable Wi-Fi calling. So yeah, I guess
that's what I was going to say. It's a good idea. whenever you travel, have your emergency numbers written down somewhere, just in case your phone dies. I know my battery's been on the fritz, and it's
That's a good
saved
idea.
me more than once having those emergency numbers written down. So what those might include would be any emergency contact number you have, the number of your hotel where you're staying, your faculty's number, and then an important number that you can take with you is the IP or the UNCG emergency number, so the police number.
Yeah.
It's 336-334-4444. And if you call that anytime, 24/7, if you're having an issue and you need to get a hold of the International Program Center, you can call that line, let them know you're traveling internationally, and they'll get you in touch with our office. So that's if there's like a big emergency. And then another good thing to have is the Canadian equivalent of 911, which I'm not sure if it is 911, but it is 911. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, two more life hacks. One, in your phone case, always have $20 or better yet 100. So many times that I forget my wallet, and so I have it, like if I open it, I have some dollars there. And second, most of your phones have this option when the screen is locked, it shows the phone that needs to be a phone number that needs to be called for lost and found. Again, if you don't have that enabled, when you lose the phone, people are happy to return it. The problem is they may not know where to return it to. So mine, if it's locked, but yeah, like you see my name, you see my email, and you see my wife's number. So if somebody finds it, even if they cannot get into the phone, at least they know who to call. And it's a function in all phones, so I highly recommend that you put the context, because chances are, some of us will lose the phones, but at that time, at least, people will know where to. So.
Yeah, and in terms of money, make sure you call your bank before you leave, so that they don't think that someone took your card and decided to go to Canada and shut it off.
It happens every single time. Forget about that.
Yeah, so call your bank before you leave. Make sure you have a couple ways of accessing funds. So have some cash with you, a debit card, maybe an emergency credit card, just in case. And once you get to where you're going, keep them in different places. So just in case you go out to dinner and you leave your wallet somewhere at a restaurant, you're not out of luck for the whole rest of the program. And I know, in addition with cash, I don't keep any in my phone case, but I know when I travel, I split it up into 2 or 3 different locations. And that way, again, if I lose something, then I have at least a little bit of cash to fall back on. So that's a really good tip just for when you're traveling, traveling around. And also,
I don't know, again, if it's something that you want to mess with, but I look like, like when I was a little kid, my mother would put my gloves, like everything. But so many times, I have the same thing with my wallet, by the way. So many times I get up at the airplane and, like this happens, I'm like, oh, would have left it in the plane. Same thing with the wallet. I've had it on my wallet for like 25 years, and must have been at least a dozen times that I literally walk somewhere and it starts like, I left it. Again, usually doesn't matter, but you don't want to leave something on the plane or in the bus when you travel, and especially when you sleep on the longer flight. So I look like a headless teenager, but at least so gives me.
And another thing to keep copies of, so you want a copy of your insurance card, which you can get by making that login information on your, from the GeoBlue email that you got. It should give you information on how to create your login for the website, and you can download copies of your insurance there. I would keep a copy of that with you, a copy in your suitcase. Another thing to keep copies of would be your passport. And then once you get there, if your hotel room has a safe, or and of course, like lock your room. Also, you think that goes without saying, but not always. Make sure your room is locked, but you can always leave your passport kind of in your luggage in your room, and then carry around your copy of your passport when you're not traveling.
My philosophy on copying paper, you will lose it, or it will, just create an electronic copy, scan and email to yourself, because you never know, and if the things is stolen or lost, usually you lose everything. Whereas if you have it in your email, there is always a computer you can access and download the copy. So email or Dropbox or whatever you prefer, but not only for the trip, you always want to have those copies just in case something goes wrong.
And then also, in addition to that, copies of the fronts and backs of your credit cards, along with any international numbers, just in case your credit card does get shut off and you need to make a phone call to get it reopened.
But do call the credit cards. I had that problem. So first time, the worst part is that the first time it works, then it gets blocked, and then you try to use the second time and it's not working. And it always happens when you're trying to pay a toll road and there are like 25 cars behind you, or you're in the train and trying to pay for it, and you have to call the company, and it may take like 10 minutes. So you definitely don't want it to happen, you know.
Yeah, and having international numbers, funds back from credit cards. Lost my train of thought. What were we
So yeah, otherwise you'll be fine.
Anyway.
It's only Canada. It's not like it's.
Yeah, oh, that's what I was gonna say. Changing money, probably the best way to do that is to withdraw money from the ATM once you get there. So of course, going with some US dollars with you. If you have AAA or if your bank can order them, I'm not sure with the time kind of coming up where you're gonna be leaving, I'm not sure if you'll have time to do this, but you can always look at ordering banknotes before you leave. And that way you'll have some Canadian dollars on hand before you get there. So in case you want to buy a coffee or you want to take a taxi or something, like have those funds.
Yeah, and honestly, you probably, I mean, you want to have some cash, but I can't imagine a situation in Canada where you will not be able to pay with a credit card. So I think you should be fine. And worst case scenario, you can always pay with the US dollars. I think they accept, the only problem is they may accept them like 1-to-1 at the cashier, so which is like about 25% difference. But for emergencies, I think you should be fine.
Yeah, but don't change money at the airport. Because they usually don't have good rates and they'll charge you like exchange fees and things like that. Another thing with accessing money overseas is you're going to want to, when you call your bank, ask them what kind of charges are related to using your credit card or your debit card abroad. So there may be exchange fees, foreign transaction fees, ATM fees. Just make sure you know what those are before you go so you're not surprised when you come back.
Should be a problem.
Yep. In terms of taxis and things like that, you can check and see if Uber and Lyft are available in Canada, but otherwise just make sure the taxi looks legit. I know now with Uber, we kind of call strangers from the internet to come pick us up in their cars, but just make sure if there's a taxi that the meter's already running when you get in, that they start it when you get in, that there's nobody in the front seat, that they have their credentials displayed, just to be doubly safe that you're taking a good taxi, which I don't anticipate you'd have issues there. In terms of just kind of general walking around, it's always best to go in a group if you're going to be going outside the hotel. I know all of you will be working pretty hard while you're there, so you may not have too much free time to explore, but if you do, just bring a buddy. It's more fun anyways. The drinking age in Canada is lower than it is here, so you are permitted to drink because if you're over 19, you're allowed to drink in Canada. That being said, just use your best judgment. You're going to be working hard. It's going to be pretty hectic from what I understand the schedule. So just, take it easy, moderation, make sure you go with a friend, watch your drinks, just use good judgment. Please don't do drugs.
And there are other things that are legal in Canada, but I don't recommend doing them.
Yeah. Please don't do drugs. Just, you don't want that. I don't want that. You don't want that.
Yeah,
don't get arrested.
And while some things are legal in Canada, bringing it back to the United States will get you arrested.
It's true.
So all those brownies and whatever else you can buy with that cannabis in it, again, don't bring it to the United States at least.
Yeah, and that even goes for like visiting Colorado and stuff. Like just make sure if you are gonna do that kind of stuff and it is legal and you are able to do that, just make sure you check your bags before you come back. In terms of dating.
No, but that is serious. Like
I know
you can buy
really
pot in
is.
Canada now legally. But if you happen to have a little of that in your bag, I mean, that's an arrest. I mean, that's not just, sorry, I didn't realize. It is a serious criminal offense in other areas in the United States, at least, most of the states still. Yep. So make sure, if, I don't recommend even, looking in that direction, but if you happen to, if you're adventurous, at least don't bring it back home with you. So.
Yeah, so I guess don't get arrested. That's another thing. Make sure you know what the laws of the host country are so that you don't accidentally violate one of those. Even if you didn't know the law, like ignorance of the law is not freedom from the law. So just make sure you have an idea of that when you go and don't bring drugs back. Thank you. In terms of
This is Doug. Yeah, just one other thing for those that are entering into Canada. When you go through customs, make sure you're just say, I'm attending a conference. Do not use any kind of word that indicates you're going to be doing anything. Otherwise, you can get hung up in customs and maybe even not get into Canada. I almost didn't get into Canada one time because I said an action word. I was going to be doing this, and they're like, oh, you go to line B. And they interrogated me for 2 hours before they finally actually let me in the country.
Oh, gosh.
So just use passive words. I'm attending. That don't go
Yeah.
beyond that.
This is Karen. I totally agree. I used to do training in Manitoba, Winnipeg, and went up, I don't know, a number of times. And I had other people come with me from other parts of the United States to do professional training. And on 2 occasions, we had 2 guys that said that they were going to help with client training. And we had to come back for them to the airport later on that night.
Wow.
So you were only you're only observing, or sorry, you're only going to a conference as a participant.
Yeah, right, because if you're helping to organize, it sounds like you may be
Then, you're working with a business, there's something, right? There's
employment payment, yeah.
idea exchange going on, and you'll just be subject to more questions.
Yeah. Thank you. Those are really good things.
Yeah, just don't say you're going up there to work with this company, for sure. You would definitely.
Actually, in our case, yeah, you're not going to work for the airport or ski resort or the city of Calgary. You're attending a conference. You're right.
Strictly. Don't go beyond that.
Yeah, I'm going to do some consulting for the Calgary airport. Do you have a work permit and all of that, which can,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, in terms of walk around, take a buddy. Make sure that especially if you're walking around an area you're not familiar with, that you keep your phone, your wallet, things like that in your front pockets. It also just makes it harder to lose. It's really easy for something to slip out of your back pocket, harder for something to slip out of your front pocket. And that way you can also feel it, so that, you can make sure that your wallet is still there. If you have a bag, crossbody bag is going to be a good bet.
Natalie waiting.
Oh, yeah,
Natalie.
yeah. So, yeah. Can we? Yeah.
Oh.
Natalie should be here. Yeah, should be working on. Any questions? How's it going with your projects? Have you started working on your challenges? What companies are you working on?
The municipal.
All of you?
The airport.
Airport.
The
Oh, so we have all of them. Yeah. So, yeah. Any good ideas so far? That's the challenge. On the one hand, we want to exchange as much information as possible so you get feedback. On the other hand, yes, I'm not giving it away. So, yeah, the only thing I would recommend that you try to survey similar companies, and even if they don't tell you good, anything new in the presentation, you can claim and you say, "Oh, I went to the local airport and talked to someone there," or "I spoke to the mayor of my town," or "I talked to some sort of a resort." We don't have ski resorts in Greensboro, but I called one, or maybe I talked to some golf course. And so that all of a sudden gives you so much credibility because you did your research. And even if you talk to some sort of, I don't know, like a ticket person at the airport, it still may give you some data. So I would do it just for the bragging rights. And who knows, maybe they'll say something useful. So that may be something that's, yeah. So, yeah.
Like I work at a country club, so I've been talking with like our general manager and stuff about our ideas and like kind of how she can like give us advice.
Right.
It's like a lot of the members are members at other clubs, like in other countries too, because they can switch through. So just seeing like how their experiences were and stuff like that, I've been trying to like, get a little bit more information because I've never been to a ski resort, so I don't know what that's like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at the weather forecast. It's supposed to be perfect in a sense that it's about 22, 23 Celsius, like 72, 73 each day, going down to the high 50s, low 60s at night. So it's usually like that. But then again, you never know. It just may start snowing one day. So make sure to have your jacket with you. Like literally, it may snow one day.
It's snowing along with.
So it's cold.
Well, yeah, it's always in the 70s. So meaning, so it will never be. It will never be like here, and most of the days it's better to have pants than shorts, and better to have long sleeves than short sleeves, and better to have a light jacket. So even when it's really, really warm, unless you're like in the direct sun, it probably will be, like comfortable. When you watch all those movies about like Back to the Future, for example, right? So like they always have some jackets on, even though it's in California, so it will be kind of that type of deal. So, but there may be one day when we literally will see snow.
And so you might want to have, just in case, a jacket, not like a warm one, but something. We'll probably be indoor most of the time, so you don't really need to, and when we are outdoor, we are walking, but still.
And speaking of walking, bring good walking shoes.
Mhm.
So I know it's a professional conference, so you may be tempted to bring like your stilettos or your really dressy business shoes. No, opt for comfort every single time, please. Because that's the quickest way to ruin your experience, is either to not call your bank and get your credit card shut off, or to get blisters on your feet.
A few more questions. So we've had so many webinars organized by the ambassadors. Have you ever attended any of those? Did you find them useful, interesting? Because we haven't done it in the past, always wanted to, but never did it. And so this time we have so many that I almost feel like, it's impossible to attend all, but I hope that it's useful. Yeah. There's also another thing that I wanted to say. So Amy Van is here, and we also have Michael Thornburg, if I remember his name correctly. So they're in a very special status. So they're two graduate students. Both of them are in their, I assume, 30s, so with a lot of work experience. And so ambassadors, their job is more kind of housekeeping. So making sure that you get, on the bus in time, room, all that stuff. So these two are exclusively basically coaches. So they will be helping the ambassadors with metrics, keeping track of performance of everyone. If there are problems, they will also try to counsel or coach you. But also what's good about them is that you can literally come to them with any questions related to your challenges. If you have any problems with the team or with the coaches for that matter, the ambassadors, Amy and Michael, I wanted to say will help you, but I don't want them to solve your problems. They will be able to get you to the right people or talk to the people involved in the conflict to resolve it. So they are available already, and so will be able to help you if anything that you may not be comfortable sharing with the team. They will help. Like for example, somebody is not participating, which is very likely to happen in every team at least at some point. Somebody is being too bossy or too quiet or bullying or I don't know, any other issue. Or even if you feel that something is not right about the program itself and you're not comfortable complaining either to me or Leilani or whoever else, so Amy and Michael will be your best stop and they will resolve it in some way, professionally. So just remember that they are available, and I'll probably send another email today just with their contacts in case you want to go directly to them. Another thing that they do is, so we do those weekly surveys that you probably completed. And so I'm sharing that information confidentially with Michael and Amy, and they go through all of the comments. And again, sometimes students may share that there is a problem, but may not be comfortable reaching out. So Michael and Amy then will maybe talk to the team or students and, hey, I read your comments. It seems like there is a problem. Would you like me to help? So again, if you put it in the comments, they will see it. I don't share those comments with anyone else. So like your teachers or team members will not see that. So, but again, if there is something that you want others to know about so that they can help, that's your best stop. So another thing, so this time we tried to do some of those team building exercises, activities. Did you participate in any of those? Did you find them useful? That's the first time we're still experimenting with that, so we didn't do it, like as you remember, we didn't do it for Italy, for example, right? So I'm not sure how much it helped and how much it does, but we are planning to have a few online and then maybe a couple on the first day once you land, because you'll have people, at this time it looks like there will be 198 total, unless we will have some dropouts due to visa or late enrollments, but we don't expect any changes at this time. And there will be at this time, last time I checked it, like 43 countries. So we'll have a very, very diverse crowd. And so we thought if we spend a few hours in the beginning, just giving you an opportunity to get to know each other, that may make the experience better for everyone. So if you liked it, great. If you didn't, but you see the ways to do it better, either let me know or Andy or Michael, and we'll think about that. And then obviously the ambassadors are right there with you all the time. So hopefully they'll be also able to help. So.
And then I want to talk a little bit more about insurance.
Yep.
Yep. So you will all be enrolled in the GeoBlue insurance, which you can log in, get your information, download your card. You can also go ahead and download a copy of, or download the app, the GeoBlue app. It's really helpful to have. And so you'll enter into the app your same information, your policy number and your name, and that'll give you access to the information for the insurance on your phone. That's helpful because you can actually set up a destination dashboard where you can kind of see if there are any things that are a notable risk to your health in Calgary, like, I don't know, altitude or air quality or water quality or something like that. So you can see those. You can also look up kind of equivalent medicines. So for instance, if they have acetaminophen instead of Tylenol or whatever like that, they would have that as a lookup. And so you can also arrange direct pay through that app. So if you do need to see a doctor, it is a zero deductible, so you shouldn't have to pay anything out of pocket. If you do have to pay anything out of pocket with the GeoBlue insurance, then they're very good about reimbursing you. But if you, for instance, if you need today that you want to go to the doctor tomorrow, upset stomach, cold, sprained ankle, something like that, you can actually use the app to go ahead and get that direct pay rolling. And then they also do have coverage for mental health care. So if you do get over there and you find you're having some trouble adjusting, or if you just need to see someone, a mental health care provider or a regular physician, either one, they also have coverage for that. And even though Canada is pretty similar to the United States, there will be differences and there will be stress because y'all are going to be working really hard for quite an intense period of time. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on your mental health. And just if you find that you're sleeping too much, not sleeping enough, using substances in a way that's not healthy, getting irritable, things like that, make sure you reach out to your faculty, to your graduate assistants, just to make sure that you know that we're here for you and you also have support through that insurance. And that insurance covers everything from routine medical visits, sprained ankles, prescriptions, things like that, all the way up to medical and political evacuation. So if anything does go kind of off the rails, we can get you back here. And another thing about medications, you may want to just double check your medications before you go, especially if you have anything that is psychoactive. So especially ADHD medications, Ritalin in particular, anti-anxiety, anti-depression medications, any sort of opiates for pain, those are going to be things that might be restricted across international borders. So you may want to give GeoBlue a call even before you leave, just to see that you have all the paperwork and everything you need to take your medications with you. And make sure you take enough for the time that you'll be there, plus a little extra just in case you get delayed. Keep it with you on your person. And then also, please keep taking your medication while you're overseas. Study abroad's a great time to experiment with a lot of things, but your medications are not one of them. So just please continue to take care of yourself, drink lots of water, eat snacks, wear good shoes, take your medications, all those good things.
Any questions?
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about roommates. When are we gonna get those?
Karen, do you know if the roommates have been assigned already?
Carolina said that she
Sorry, yes. Lilani does have a list, and she's in control of that spreadsheet. So I'm assuming that I know that, what was it, yesterday was the day for final waitlist people to pay and register. So I'd anticipate that she would send that today or tomorrow. I'll send her a quick note to a reminder that everyone's kind of waiting on that communication.
Yep.
So if you know someone that's like, you can't make a preference for who you want your roommate to be.
They're gonna mix it up.
Yeah, so Melania, we had a number of conversations about that with Melania. So the sort of the rules for, I guess the principles or algorithm she intends to follow is, one, make it as diverse as possible. So if you have a preference to stay with someone from the same country, it's probably not going to work because of that rule. So, and two, more or less random. And the reason for that is that it will be, with so many people, it will be very hard to accommodate. And so, but then again, I guess if you have someone who happens to be from a different country, and probably it might work. So I don't want to give you hope.
I have a feeling though, Voss, that because I think that it's set. I saw her spreadsheet, and I also know that, right, she also wanted to put people on put people in rooms that were not on the same team.
Right.
To maximize the number of people you are forced to get to know.
Right. Yeah, I remember. So if you want to be with someone, you better not reveal that you already know the person. Then maybe.
Don't tell her, because she'll definitely make sure.
Because
that you're
otherwise
not
she will.
in the room.
Yeah.
So I'd like everybody just to go around again and let me know your names. Heather, or
No, Jonica Lockhart.
Okay.
Allison Hampton.
Will Youngblood.
Colin.
Claudia Andrade.
And I'm Lisa McLaughlin. And Doug is my husband. He's the photographer. And I've helped with registration.
And you know me, answer that, right?
I had a question about the outlets. Are the Canadian outlets the same?
Same.
And the voltage is the
Yeah.
same too.
Although, since you all took an international business course, and if you didn't take it with me, you may not know the story. It seems like the Canadian water is a little wetter because you cannot buy like a toilet or a faucet in the United States and bring it in Canada and install it without special certification. So there must be something different about that water because due to the international trade regulations, you can't, like you're not allowed to cross into Montana, buy something at the Home Depot and install it in your Canadian house. So it must be separately certified in Canada. So no, that's, I'm trying to be funny here, but sometimes they literally have restrictions on those kinds of things. So yeah. So.
And like, what's the best form of transportation from the airport to the university?
Good question. So there will be a meeting point in the airport. Everybody will be arriving more or less on the same day. And I'm not sure if they already told you, but usually the plan is the following. So there is a meeting point with the letter I in every airport. There is one in Calgary. And the plan is probably the easiest one. People just meet there, and once you have about 4 people, you just go and take an Uber. And so the problem there, unless the transportation changed, but in the past when I lived there, so you had to take first the bus and then the train. And so even though it would be like $275 or something like that for the total trip, but it takes a little time to figure out, which lines you take, where you transfer. So and you, like a car drive, it's about 12 minutes to the campus. And so at least at that time it was cheaper. Now Leilani said it's something like $30, $25 for the whole thing. But if there are 4 or 5 of you in the car, which there may be, you split it, it's probably going to be like $5 per person, which is more or less the same as the bus. But at least you get door to door. You don't have to deal with the logistics. And so there will be literally 200 people arriving more or less on the same day. There will be some people who will arrive early, but the vast majority will be arriving on the same day. So there will be like 5 people joining the group every 10 minutes. And so you just get there, and once you have a large enough group, you might want to stay around a little longer to get to know others, but then just go get a cab and go to campus. But there is public transportation. The train goes directly to campus, like literally it stops on campus. And the only thing is that I believe you first have to take a bus and then the train, so it shouldn't be hard either. So, but it's not a walking distance and not even a biking distance. Like if you're planning to rent a scooter, it's a kind of area that has, like hills, mountains. And so it will not be very easy. It may be a pleasant ride, but I don't think there is an easy connection and nice pathways. So, because in Copenhagen, when I was picking up my brother a few days ago, he insisted that we rent bikes. And so we biked from the airport to the hotel, but it was like a 20-minute bike ride, very pleasant, very nice. And they have literally, the cars are scared of bikes. Never ever did it happen to me because I bike here all the time. So you are the king of the road if you're on the bicycle. So if you're on the car, you have to, I don't think it will be like that in Calgary. So Uber or train is better. So.
And would that be the same? So like, I know my flight that it's either, I think on Saturday is like really early. So
I bet there will be enough people there. So
I'll probably just like Uber.
So you're going to arrive on Saturday?
No, I'm coming on Sunday and then I leave on Saturday, but I'm leaving like at 6 a.m. But that means I have to get to the airport.
So the easiest way, though, again, if you don't want to pay $25 or whatever it is for the Uber, find anyone in the white hat. So they have those people who look like cowboys. There will be like a red something here and white hat. And say, I'm trying to get to U of C. And they will say, oh, no problem. Just take a bus, whatever the number is, go until the last stop. And I think it's like 3 stops. And then just switch to the train. And I think they have like 3 train lines. And it's very easy. Like you definitely will hear it once and you will know what exactly you need to do. And then you just get the bus right on in the airport, 5 minutes in the bus. And I think you will literally just get out of the bus, kind of walk to the train, like you will see the train station and just get on the train. And that's another like 6 or 7 stops through downtown. And it's right on campus. Well, what I mean is that
maybe since you'll be there a week, maybe you'll have a chance to use the train.
Yeah, but
train until before you have to make that?
UFC is a major stop, and so there is no way you will get lost. And just if we don't have them markers here. No, we don't.
I don't think so.
The map will look like this. So you will be here at the airport. You take the bus, go here, transfer, and then the train goes like this. So it's very simple, like really, really simple.
So how
So,
far, you know how long it will be?
so as I said, it will be about 5 minutes in the bus, maybe 7. Then you switch. Let's say it takes you another 7 minutes, and then another 10 minutes or so in the train. Only because it kind of makes a hook. It goes to downtown and then goes up, unless they add it near hours. So by car, you just go directly, and it takes, as I said, maybe 10, 12 minutes total. So, but it's a very, very simple, thing. And because there are literally just, I think, 3 lines, they call it C train, Calgary train, or whatever that C stands for. So it's not something that you can get lost with. Like, for example, with the bus routes in Greensboro, because we have buses, there are so many routes. I've been here for 10 years, and I still have no idea how they go. And like, if I had to use one, it would take us a lot of time. There, the major routes are clearly marked. Everybody will be able to help you. So I guarantee you, it will take about a minute to figure out what to do, and it will be, I think it's $275 for like 1.5 hour ticket, and that's enough for you to get there. So again, unless the prices have changed, maybe now $3 or something, and so it's not going to be difficult at all. And if you get lost, you just say UFC, and everybody literally will know and direct you. So it's not like you're trying to get to some address that nobody knows. So.
And one other thing, if you are going to be traveling kind of at off hours, so I know you said you need to be at the airport to leave at 6 a.m.
Yeah, like my flight is like at 6 a.m.
So you may just want to, and if you're going to be out late any other time past like 11 or so, I know even in Greensboro here, the buses stop running at 9. So if you're going to be using public transit, you're going to be out later or up early or something like that. Just make sure you know what the transit schedules are and if they change at night. And you can also
I think the
schedule an Uber if you want.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we do.
and I'm pretty sure the train goes from like 5 a.m. to 1 a.m., so it will be no problem. And unlike American cities, Canadian cities don't have bad areas, whatever that means. So at least, again, when I live there, you can go anywhere at any hour of the day. Like, they don't have neighborhoods that are dangerous. Like, there is no Harlem of Calgary. So in fact, when I studied there, they would, like, for example, they would have some sort of a reception outdoor on campus, and they literally leave the tables with the coffee makers and everything for the weekend because, we'll get it on Monday. And nobody, like the biggest vandalism one time, they actually leave all of that stuff over the weekend, and the students took the table sheets or cloths and put it on the trees. And that was like, like national news, vandalism. How could you do that? They didn't care about the coffee makers, but yeah. So again, maybe it's a little bit less like that now. Time has passed and the city has gotten bigger, but it's extremely safe, city and place. So you should be fine. And the only danger you run into that if you ask a Canadian for help, they will literally walk you all the way. Like, at some point they can become, almost annoying. So they will be trying to help you so much that you will go, okay, I'm fine. No need to walk me all the way to the door. So. Any questions about the business side, the challenges or the teams? You got that under control? Yeah. I don't know how much you've done, but my experience shows that most teams don't really do much until they're actually on the site. And so I think that's fine. But if you do something in advance, you will have a huge advantage. So most teams don't really, but then once you're there, that's where you work very intensively and do a lot of work. So. Yeah.
You were referencing snow earlier, like. What's the consistency of the snow? Because I know in different parts of the U.S. the snow is different consistency. So
sugar.
Is it like a harder snow or is it a softer snow?
No, it's like sugar. So it's
Okay.
extremely dry there. So like, they don't have snow plows, they have snow brooms. So when it snows, like when they have 4 feet in winter, they still have to use the plows. But the snow, because it's so dry, like, you can't really make a snowman out of that snow. So even when it melts, somehow it doesn't melt; it evaporates. Like, you see the snow and then it just disappears. Like, there is no slush, because usually the humidity of percent, like, if what is it, relative humidity, it's usually like 15-20%. So here it's not very humid either. It's more like 40-50. Like Toronto or Montreal, it's 80-90. So there you have like wet snow. Here it's like literally like sugar. You take it and it just slips through your fingers. So, but you will see snow. I guarantee you will see and touch snow because we will be going to the mountains and we will go to Lake Louise. And those of you who are more adventurous, we will try to go to the top of one of the mountains. It's not really high, but it's like, you know, like an hour hike. And so from that top of the mountain, you will see two very nice blue, like this color lakes. Like one will be kind of blue like this and one will be green like this. They have some sort of mineral in the water and it makes it unnaturally bright color. Like you will see it, it's very strange color. And so when you go to the top of that mountain, so in Banff it will be like almost 2 kilometers above, you know, elevation, because Calgary is close to a kilometer. You add a little bit for Banff. So by the time you get to the mountain, it will be like 2.5 kilometers above the sea level, maybe even 3. And so for every kilometer, you lose 6 degrees Celsius, so you lose like 12 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it's 70 in Calgary, by the time we get to Banff, it will be like 62, 65. By the time we get to that mountain, it will be more like 40 something, and there will be still snow that is not melted. You will definitely see snow on the top of the mountains all the time, but I'm pretty sure we will be in the areas where you can touch it. So it doesn't mean that it will be, you know, like winter, so it will still be relatively warm and comfortable. But I guarantee you will be able to take pictures with you in snow and you will put it on your Instagram and say something like, is it summer or is it winter? But you will touch something that looks like snow for sure. So, yeah. All right, then I guess already then. Those of you online, any questions? We have Natalie, Courtney, Emmy. So. Yeah, no questions probably means that either everything is clear, there is nothing else to ask, or I'm so confused I don't even know where to begin, so nothing's clear. So hopefully it's the first thing. Oh, there is a question in chat maybe. Yeah, okay. All right, well then, yeah. So we'll be there in what, 10 days, a little bit more. So the ambassadors are leaving actually in 2-3 days. They have to be there early. So they have, I think they're meeting up on the 8th. But many of them are going even earlier to do some sightseeing. So, any of you are going earlier?
I'm going Tuesday.
No. Yeah. So, Stampede is earlier.
Her family goes every year, I think.
Okay.
She's actually next to like, she has horrible connections. So.
Oh.
And by the way, I should have called. We have Madeline Stackhouse here. She is from Calgary, and I think she's on campus because I saw her about an hour ago. So we couldn't, and she graduated from that same school too. So, but I'm not sure if there is much new information to tell. Yeah.
I was going to say, for those of you going early, I'll send it out to the group, but there is a way, and I've already said how to extend your insurance. So just to have, it's like $1.42 a day. So I mean, why not?
Totally worth it.
So that way, yeah, so that way if you get a cold or if you sprain an ankle or something like that, you'll have care. I'll send the information on how to extend that. And it's a really
Okay,
simple
so you just
process.
didn't look at anything like our travel plans to figure that out?
Well, for everyone, I did it for the time.
Okay.
Because that's what.
Yeah,
covered,
Doug and I
then
will
before
need that.
Okay. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so ours is like the 9th, but.
Okay.
But you
Yeah, I
can sort
think
of
I
tell
have
that.
yours. I have the faculty and staff pretty
Okay.
well tied to that.
Okay.
But for the students, it's just like a set thing. So I'll send that out to the group, and y'all can put that on there if you're going to be there for an extra period of time.
Yeah. Also time zones. They're 2 hours behind us. So for you that's good because if you wake up on your regular time, you kind of get extra 2 hours. So not a big difference, but gives you a little extra time. So. Okay, well, then I guess. So then everyone online, unless you have any other questions, I guess we'll stop here and share the recording with everyone later then. Yep.